In Carl Jung's theory of the psyche, the mana personality is one of the most dangerous archetypal inflations a person can experience. Mana is a Polynesian term for supernatural power, and Jung used it to describe the archetype of the magical personality, the one possessed by numinous energy and archetypal authority. In a healthy psyche, encounters with the mana archetype are temporary, humbling experiences that connect us to something greater, while maintaining our human limitations. But what if someone had access only to the mana personality, with no ego to maintain human perspective, no shadow to acknowledge darkness, no persona to function normally? This is Gabriel, a man who believes he is no longer merely human. And his existence is a study in archetypal inflation, without grounding. Gabriel wakes at dawn, and his first thought isn't about breakfast or his schedule or anything mundane. He wakes with the immediate conviction that this day holds cosmic significance. Not in the way someone might feel generally optimistic, but in the way someone feels when they believe they're an instrument of destiny, a vessel for powers beyond ordinary human understanding. A person with an integrated psyche might have moments of feeling connected to something greater, then return to normal consciousness. Gabriel never returns. He lives permanently in a state of archetypal inflation. Watch him rise from bed with ritualistic solemnity. Every movement is imbued with significance. He's not just getting up. He's enacting a sacred transition from the dream world to the waking world. He doesn't brush his teeth. He performs a purification ritual. He doesn't choose clothing. He dons the garments appropriate for one who carries special knowledge and power. The mana personality, Jung warned, makes a person feel they're no longer bound by ordinary human limitations. They've become something more, something special, something chosen. When Gabriel looks in the mirror, he doesn't see what Marcus's ego would see objectively, or what Derek's shadow would see hatefully. Gabriel sees himself as archetypal. His eyes aren't just eyes, they're portals to deep wisdom. His face isn't just a face, it's the countenance of one who has transcended ordinary consciousness. He practices expressions that convey gravitas, authority, mystical knowing. Not consciously rehearsing like Rebecca's persona would, but naturally embodying what he genuinely believes he is. A carrier of mana. A person of power. He spends 45 minutes in what he calls meditation, but what observers might recognize as self-absorption verging on megalomania. He's not emptying his mind or cultivating presence. He's communing with what he experiences as cosmic forces, receiving what he believes are transmissions of special knowledge, feeling the energy of his own supposed significance flowing through him. The mana personality creates the experience of being in contact with numinous power, and without an ego to maintain humble perspective, Gabriel has completely identified with that power. Researchers studying narcissistic personality disorder might see similarities, but the mana personality is different in crucial ways. The narcissist is desperate for validation to maintain a fragile, grandiose self. Gabriel doesn't need external validation because he has direct experience of his own cosmic importance. The narcissist is compensating for inner emptiness. Gabriel is possessed by archetypal fullness, flooded with what feels like genuine spiritual power, but is actually psychological inflation without grounding. Gabriel arrives at his office, and immediately people sense something strange about his presence. He doesn't walk into a room. He enters with the gravitas of someone who believes they're bringing enlightenment. His coworker Janet says good morning, and Gabriel responds not with casual greeting but with a penetrating look and a statement like, "I sense you're carrying heavy energy today." This isn't empathy like Daniel's anima would offer. This is the mana personality, assuming mystical insight into others, positioning Gabriel as someone who sees what ordinary people cannot. Janet, uncomfortable but trying to be polite, says she's fine. Gabriel smiles with what he experiences as compassionate wisdom and what Janet experiences as condescending certainty. "It's okay to be in denial," he says. "When you're ready to face your shadow, I can guide you." Gabriel has appointed himself as a spiritual authority, without anyone asking for guidance, without any actual qualifications, based solely on his inflated sense of possessing special power and knowledge. In the morning meeting, a colleague named Tom presents a routine project proposal. A person with normal psychology would respond to the content of the proposal. Gabriel responds to what he perceives as the spiritual and energetic dimensions that supposedly underlie the mundane business discussion. He says things like, I'm sensing resistance in the collective field around this project. Or, the archetypal energies aren't aligned with this timeline. His colleagues exchange glances, unsure whether to laugh or be concerned. Tom tries to bring the discussion back to practical matters like budget and deadlines. Gabriel looks at him with pity, the way someone might look at a child who doesn't understand adult conversation. You're operating from ego consciousness, Gabriel says. Until you can access higher awareness, you'll remain trapped in limiting material concerns. He's not trying to be insulting. He genuinely believes he's operating on a higher level of consciousness than his colleagues, that he has access to knowledge and power they lack. His boss has had enough. He pulls Gabriel aside after the meeting and tries to explain that Gabriel needs to focus on actual work rather than metaphysical commentary. But Gabriel hears this feedback through the filter of mana inflation. His boss is trapped in conventional consciousness. His boss is threatened by Gabriel's advanced awareness. His boss is an agent of the system trying to suppress Gabriel's gifts. The mana personality interprets all criticism as persecution from less evolved beings who can't handle the truth carrier's presence. Watch what happens at lunch when his colleague Sarah mentions she's been feeling stressed. A person with healthy boundaries might offer support or sympathy. Gabriel immediately launches into what he calls energy work, explaining that Sarah's stress is actually her soul crying out for awakening, that she's being called to shed her false self, that he can see the karmic patterns operating in her life. Sarah is trying to eat a sandwich and complain about her workload. Gabriel is treating her like a spiritual patient in need of his mystical diagnosis and healing. Sarah tries to politely extract herself from the conversation, but Gabriel interprets her discomfort as ego resistance to truth. He follows her back to her desk, continuing his unsolicited spiritual counseling, completely oblivious to her increasingly desperate attempts to escape. The mana personality has no persona to read social cues, no ego to maintain appropriate boundaries, no shadow to acknowledge that this behavior might be grandiose and intrusive rather than enlightened service.